Hey, Anthony.
You know what I hate more than anything in the world?
Other than me?
I don't like when people are in the wrong uniforms. I've been working with Cintas forever, and they have a company called Design Collective by Cintas. And it's not uniforms, it's a design collective. It's about beauty, and it's about making sure people fit right into their uniforms, and it's about a feeling. Too many times you walk into a hotel or a restaurant or a bar, and they have this beautiful logo and they have this beautiful bar, but everybody, they're in uniforms that don't fit them.
That's right. You've spent so much time on branding your property. You want your people to be reflective of that, but also comfortable and confident.
It's about allowing employees to express their authentic self through their employee apparel. So many people, this is your uniform, this is what you're going to wear, this is the apparel you're going to wear. People want choices, especially nowadays. People want to feel good about themselves. The only way for people to really be their true self is to feel good. And Design Collective by Cintas makes sure that they're listening to you, make sure they're listening to the employees, and they really give you an apparel collection that really brings your hotel or your restaurant or your bar to another level. And you know where you can find them, Glenn?
How do we find them?
Cintas.com/Design Collective, or call them at 800-864-3676. 800-864-3676. Cintas.com/Design Collective.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Anthony.
The big boss is here.
Yeah,
I'm going to
man.
be on my best behavior.
I know. I'm a little anxious because sometimes you get so intimidated by people you don't know how to behave. And this is one of those times, Anthony. I got to be on our best behavior.
I keep saluting her. It's weird.
All right. So we've got, because the jig is up. I mean, you guys read the show notes. You know who's here already. Interim CEO of AAHOA, Rachel Humphrey. How are you?
I'm doing well, Glenn and Anthony. Thanks for having us this morning.
Yeah, us. I like that you speak in the plural
I
because
do.
you are AAHOA. I love
I
that.
am AAHOA, sitting here on behalf of our almost 19,000 members now.
I know. That's unbelievable. Okay, so we're recording the show from the show floor at HX, the hotel experience powered by AAHOA. And what a great first day.
Thanks, Glenn. Before we get started on how exciting HX is, I do want to
Yes.
take a moment to recognize that it's Veterans Day. And on behalf of AAHOA's members who are the embodiment of the American dream, just a shout out and say thank you to all of our servicemen and their families for all they do for
Yeah, I
the country.
wish we had a chance to go and check out the parade. It's a little weird that this event is always on this day and we don't get to participate in those things. But let's thank a veteran sitting right here at this table, Mr. Anthony Melchiorri from the Air Force. Thanks for everything you did for us, so I could not do a lot myself.
Well, I'll tell you, people don't realize, but I had the most dangerous job in the military.
What was that?
I poured coffee for generals.
Ooh.
That coffee's hot. The Air Force is the best thing ever happened. And yes, I'd like to say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans and all the people overseas and in the United States keeping us safe. We can't do this if they don't do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, is there a lot of AAHOA members that have been in the military?
Not at this point as we go, because we have so many first-generation members.
Yes.
But as we continue to see the growth of the association, absolutely, yes. And certainly so many of our partners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I had some drinks last night with a couple of Marines, which was really nice.
They didn't beat you up?
Well, come on.
Wait,
they took
Glenn
pity
had
on
a
me.
couple of drinks? I thought that was the breaking news.
That's true, because I have been I was abstaining yesterday all the way from morning until about 4 p.m. So that was pretty good. Excellent. So this is exciting for you. I do want to talk about this because this is a real big seminal shift for you folks, getting involved in helping produce HX, a hotel experience, now powered by AAHOA for the first time. What was that experience like, and how do you feel that the results have come out for you guys?
You know, yesterday was incredibly exciting. It is an idea that came to fruition about a year ago. It has taken a lot to get us to this point. You were in San Diego when we launched the big announcement.
Yes. What a great national conference that was.
Yeah. So we had an opportunity to talk a little bit about the idea behind it then. But Emerald Exposition, just an absolute industry leader in business-to-business trade shows. AAHOA on the education side, bringing hotel owners, and then, of course, our trade show aspects as well. So it's a great partnership. The excitement around the conference yesterday and today? Absolutely. Palpable. We can feel a difference, and we're really excited to be
It's the busiest I've seen it in many years. And so for our audience members, what does powered by AAHOA mean? What does that encompass?
Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of different factors. We're full partners in the event as far as the planning and what the look and feel of the show will be. But AAHOA oversees all of the content development for all of the education sessions and the learning side of it, also bringing hoteliers here. So one of the things we had noticed in the past few years is that attendance, the demographic had changed, and we really wanted owners to be back at HX. And so when you want owners, everybody knows you look to partner with AAHOA. Also the trade show side as well for us. And then last night, a new aspect completely. One thing that we find is that so many of our members go to the AAHOA events for the networking opportunity. HX historically has not had that type of event.
Right.
So as you know, we hosted our first ever young professional reception last night here at the HX conference and had a great turnout, a real opportunity for young professional hoteliers to network with each other, and then many on the mentor side as well.
It was a great event, and it was an event that I selected, or me and my partner selected, to roll out hospitalitysuccess.com, our new company, and it was fantastic. I had so much fun, and I think we did some business.
Well, I am glad to hear that. That's the true partnership with AAHOA. There you go. Then you selected the right partner.
Yeah, I love the young professionals, and I love the whole idea that they have a community that you could rally around. And I think about when I first entered the hospitality industry, and I felt like I was adrift. There was nobody to show me the way, and nobody to bring me in and inculcate me to the whole world. So I feel like if you're a young professional and you participate, not only can you make friends, but you could really learn the ropes and get through everything. And I think speed up to success a little bit quicker, right?
Well, there's a lot of different aspects of it. You know, the hospitality industry is known for being one where there's tremendous opportunity for growth, for a career path. But we're also in the midst of the worst labor shortage in the industry ever. So the opportunity to bring hoteliers together, to bring people in the hospitality industry together, to be reminded of what an amazing career path it is for people who are looking for not just work, but a long-term career. And you also look with the young professionals that there's so much to learn from each other. So giving them the opportunity to learn from each other, to learn from those who have really paved a path before them is a great opportunity, and something we spend a lot of time focusing our efforts on is to make sure to have that capability.
You know, it's interesting. Last night talking to everyone, I've met a lot of second, third generation, and they didn't seem like they were dragged into it. They didn't seem upset about being in it. They seem excited about what their family was able to do, and then how do they get it to the next level. I think they're really excited about the growth and how they can bring their creative juices to what their family built. A lot of times you see a lot of families where there's resentment. I'm in this business because I have to be. And they don't have to be. Matter of fact, as we know, the Indian community is very big into education. So their families are like, go get an education. Right. And then whatever you want to be. But a lot of them come back. Last night, there was a lot of brothers and sisters. One was a doctor and two were in the hotel business. I got that a couple times last night. One was a lawyer and two were in the hotel business. So, but they really are finding their path, and the people that are staying and are second, third generation, they're really passionate about it. And one of the things that fascinates me is the executive board, and the regional, directors. Like, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into it, and they do it happily. They do it unpaid, and they have a lot of passion for it. So they not only have passion for the hotel business, but they have the passion for AAHOA. And like, you can't fake that. And every time I'm at an event, they're like literally chomping at the bit to talk to me, to tell me about how great AAHOA is.
Well, we certainly like to hear that. You know, the young professionals are really an important aspect or segment of AAHOA because we want to be here for the long term. We celebrated our 30th anniversary in San Diego, but that's just the beginning for us. And so to make sure that we're relevant 30 years from now, we know we need to make sure that we are meeting the needs of today's young professionals. You mentioned an interesting point about being here willingly. Right. One story you hear a lot is, I had no intention of staying 100%. In the hotel industry, and I go out and I get my marketing degree, I get my law degree, I get my business degree, and then I think, well, that's actually a pretty exceptional career. And so that's, we hear that more often than not now.
Heard that many times.
I just wanted to make one mention. You mentioned our volunteers a minute ago. AAHOA is a family in every sense of the word, not just because we are founded upon really family principles. But the AAHOA community, I joke, when you become a member of the family, as you both know, you're in for life. So that's our members, our volunteers are exceptional, our partners of every kind. So it's really a nice community of hoteliers and everybody that works in the industry along with the hoteliers. But our volunteers are really unsurpassed by any other association in this country.
You know, a lot of our listeners know about the power of AAHOA and HX Hotel Experience, powered by AAHOA, but I don't think we know enough about you, Rachel. How did you find your way to AAHOA? Because I know you were a lawyer by trade, and were you in associations before this? How did that journey to AAHOA work for you?
I was not. I like to say that, like many in the hospitality industry, I found my way here accidentally.
Yep,
I spent a little over 20 years in private practice as a trial attorney. The firm I worked for in Atlanta was actually the first attorney partner for AAHOA. So we provided a lot of free legal advice for AAHOA members, and mostly on the franchise side. So I was very familiar with the association. I had done a lot of speaking opportunities at convention regionals and other things, and helped a lot of AAHOA members who really were new to the contracting process, new to the legal side of the industry. I retired from the trial practice world and was trying to figure out what to do next. I saw that AAHOA was looking for something completely unrelated on the legal side. Reached out to Chip and our team at AAHOA at the time, and they created a really special opportunity for me.
Yeah, because it seems like when I first met you, you were focused more on the PR aspect of it, front-facing, but behind the scenes, I know there's a lot more stuff going on. And then it was so delightful to see that you started to get new opportunities within that organization really quickly.
Yeah, I actually came on the franchise side. I think you and I connected on the industry relations side, which would be the PR media side. And then from there, we were looking for, we'd never had a chief operating officer before. We spent a tremendous amount of time looking for one. And what we really realized is that role, because, as you guys know, AAHOA moves 1 million miles an hour every single day, that the reason we weren't finding the right fit is we needed somebody who understood the association, our membership, what we're doing every day. And I had an opportunity to accept that responsibility. And one thing led to another, and here I sit with a different hat on today. But no, I mean, AAHOA, like the industry, is just an association that creates opportunity. And if you work hard and if you have great vision, there's great opportunity.
You know, you said something very interesting. AAHOA moves 1 million miles an hour. Oh, my God. It's true. It's like, I think I was, the last time I saw you guys, I don't know where, Minneapolis, and you've been to like 27 different cities since then, and I'm like, oh my God, it moves really, really fast. It's amazing. People are engaged. People are serious.
It is. It's also, the industry moves very quickly as well. So you want to stay relevant. You want to make sure that as the industry changes, that AAHOA is keeping up with it. But our growth last week, we hit record membership for us. We're at almost 19,000 AAHOA members now. But we know that our members own about 50% of the hotels in the United States, which means that 50% of hotel owners in the U.S. are not our members. So we have a lot of room for growth, a lot of opportunity. So we want to go where they are. And
so how do you bridge that gap? I know being powered by AAHOA, the HX experience, but how do you bridge the gap? Because AAHOA is known for the Indian community. How do you bridge the gap outside that community?
Well, that's a great question. AAHOA's membership is open to all hoteliers. The only requirement to be an AAHOA member is that you own a hotel or have an interest in owning hotels. We know that hotel ownership is our niche. There's a lot of great associations that represent the industry. So from that standpoint, what we do applies to every hotelier in the U.S. The advocacy that we're doing at the federal level, state and local level, the education that we're putting out, both on the operational side, on the development side, the trade shows that we put out to make sure that we are connecting our membership with the products and services they need. All of those things apply to every single hotelier, whether you own a 10-room mom and pop roadside hotel or whether you own a 200-room resort property somewhere. Those are needs that every hotelier has. And so we know that that's what we're putting out every day and just getting that messaging out to all hoteliers. And that's what that part of that growth represents, that messaging is working.
And what do you think HX Experience powered by AAHOA does for the pride of your board members and the pride of your association? Because it's a big deal. I walked in here and I was like, actually, the gentleman stopped me because it was too early. I was supposed to be here at 10 o'clock. Glenn said the appointment's at 10. I came 10 to 10, and it opens for guests at 10 and for vendors before. But my badge is a guest, not a vendor. And he stopped me. And I said, I'm with them. And I pointed at the big sign. I said, I'm interviewing the chief of that place. So there was a pride of being associated with the people that are putting this event on. What is that? Like, that must just help internally.
No, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of pride. AAHOA as an association has come so far in the 30 years. As I mentioned, we had a great chance to celebrate that in San Diego. But even last night, you could see our board members who are here with us, our volunteers, they're tremendously proud of the role that AAHOA plays in the industry. It is not a niche organization anymore. It is a leading powerhouse, as I mentioned, on the advocacy, on the education, on the trade shows.
Lobbying on Capitol Hill in particular.
Yeah, I mean, so when you look around, our board members, our past chairmen, they could not be more proud of what AAHOA stands for today.
It's amazing to see some of the old past chairmen and talk to them about how much the organization has moved forward in years since they had their tenure. But it's also really cool to talk about these younger folks that have just, and I mean by younger in terms of just getting onto the board and stuff like that, and seeing how they found their way and why they wanted to be involved and why they really wanted to make a difference. What a commitment that is to give 4+ years of your life when you're thinking about running for the first board position all the way through graduating from the chairmanship to a past chair. What a huge commitment, and it's amazing how those folks dedicate so much time but still have full-time businesses on the side.
Yeah, no, it's a wonder. I ask myself that every day. How is anybody's business still afloat? That's what I was mentioning earlier. The passion of our volunteers is just unmatched anywhere else.
I ask that all the time, and your former chairman, Hitesh, asked him what he's going to be doing. He's like, I'm going to sleep for 2 weeks and then actually run my business again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like anything else, every one of us who has achieved anything does it with the support of a team.
Yeah.
So when you look at the people who serve on our board, they're supported by amazing teams at home, whether it's their family, whether it's their leadership teams at their hotels, their management companies, because they know when they commit to AAHOA, it is a full-time job for so many of them. Not just at the officer level that you mentioned when you are elected to eventually become chair, but also at the regional level. You are doing so much to spread the word of AAHOA, to host events, to make sure that we're meeting the needs of members in every region in this country.
And as a general manager, when the owner that owned our hotel was a member of HOA, I was excited when they left for HOA events. Right. I got to run the hotel. Do more HOA events. Yeah. So if they're the young professionals that we met last night, that makes us the old professionals?
I don't want to ask. I said I'm lucky they didn't card last night, or I don't know if that any of the three of us at this table would have gotten in.
Yeah, no, I was in there. I'm like, I swear, I'm under 40. I swear.
But they're so, like, it really is. I can't say enough about it. Mm-hmm. And I think the young generation gets maligned in the press.
Right.
It's like, I spent time with Cornell students this week. I spent time with a lot of students walking around the floor. I spent a lot of time with young HOA members last night. I'm telling you, I wasn't this together at that age. I was not this together. So I don't know what the hell people are talking about.
I'm still not that together.
Right. I don't know what the hell. There's one young lady who says, yes, I run my father's hotels, 4 hotels, and I'm starting the management company, whatever. She's like 23.
Right.
At 23, I didn't know where my shoes were.
If you think about that story, too, what resonates with so many of our members is starting at 7 or 8, they were making up rooms or they were working behind the counter. I mean, labor laws notwithstanding, they're used to that hard work. That hard work, that passion for family, for success, that drive is absolutely evident across all of our membership base. But I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
There was one family last night where you can tell the father was pretty intense, right? And when the father walked away, there was a son and a daughter. And I said to them, I said, wow, he's intense. And the son was like, yeah. And I was like, and I looked at the daughter had a smile. I said, why are you smiling? She's like, I'm the daughter. I got him wrapped around my finger. In the Indian community, the daughter's wrapped around dad's finger.
That's awesome. But the cool thing about hoteliers growing up within the hospitality environment and doing all of those jobs is when they go to school and they come home, they already have 15, 20 years hotel experience, which I think puts them way ahead. And then you talk about these folks that go out, and they kind of find other little career paths and come back. And it's amazing to see how they're able to incorporate all those different elements and those outside experiences with their hotel experience to become the moguls of today and into tomorrow.
Well, I think there's a very different focus, too. So with a lot of the young professionals, you not only see the drive toward development, toward management companies, but you also see the influences of social media, how it impacts hotel revenue. You see the technology, how that impacts revenues. So they have, not just through education, but through their training today, a lot more resources and a lot more knowledge how to use those resources to drive revenues at the hotel. And at the end of the day, it's all about the ROI. So if they're coming in with the ideas, whether it's business degrees, whether it's financing ideas, whether it's technology, there's a whole new world out there that learning through doing is one thing, but getting to see what other opportunities are out there. And I think that that's one of the things that HX provides that's great is for a lot of the young professionals, they're coming in here, they're seeing the new technologies on the trade show floor. They're going to education and hearing how technology or how new F&B is driving revenues. So there's a real opportunity to continue to learn. And I would say that a lot of the young professionals now just have a deep passion for learning the industry outside of the hands-on training that they've had their whole lives.
They don't feel like outsiders like they did the first generation. I think the first generation, the reason AAHOA got so big is because they felt like outsiders. They felt like they were. Right. And they really weren't, because anybody's welcome, but I think the community at large back in the day made them feel like outsiders. Now, there is inside. I mean, they're hosting HS Experience.
I know.
There is inside as it comes now. So I think there's a different confidence and a different swagger that comes with that, where they feel it's their business.
Well, it's interesting. We know that we own about half the hotels in the U.S. We hear from the major brands that pipeline is probably closer to 60 to 70% of the pipeline, but it's also about 50% of the full service pipeline. And that was a number we heard recently that was very surprising to a lot of us who know that limited service, select service, extended stay economy, that's absolutely been the AAHOA member niche over the years. But to know that we're now in the pipeline of such a tremendous number of the full service properties as well is showing that growth, not just of the member, but of their portfolios.
Well, personally, I'm not surprised, because if you've been following the story over the last 30 years, that first generation that came over here, the whole thing for them was just to be able to feed their family.
Absolutely.
Let's get into that economy hotel. Let's get some other folks to come over from places such as the state of Gujarat in India over here to the United States so they can pursue their dream. The parents made that sacrifice so their children could then go ahead and be the creators. And I saw over the last 15, 20 years that movement up. And, from the economy to the mid-scale and now to the upscale full-service type property. So it doesn't really surprise me. And we're going from seeing people owning one or two hotels to big portfolios of varied products, which is such an exciting thing to see. So your membership continues to morph and adapt over time as they become more successful and learn new things. And you guys are moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So how do you bring those two components together to know which directions to kind of move the organization to best meet the needs of your membership today, but also thinking about where it's headed in the future?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're a membership association, and so there's a lot of listening. We spend, Anthony, as you mentioned, a tremendous amount of time on the road with our members, and we're constantly hearing and we're asking, what is it that you need? Are we doing everything that we can to be your association? Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that hotel owners have a place to go for resources, whether it's advocacy, whether it's education, trade shows, networking, whatever it is. And you only grow if you are a good listener. And so we listen a lot. We figure out what's working, what can we do better? How do we change things? How do we keep up with the current times? A lot of that is through our volunteers. Most AAHOA members are not silent in their feedback.
I
haven't noticed that.
You're going to know every good or other idea that somebody has. But no, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of listening and making sure that we're keeping up with the changing times. And not all AAHOA members are going to be the same. So you really have to think about with a changing demographic across whether it's age, whether it's gender, whether it's geography, whether it's something else, you really need to be thinking, okay, we want to make sure we're servicing all of the segments of our membership and not just traditionally maybe where we were focused.
And I like that you say that because 30 years ago, I think culturally speaking within this community, men were mostly in their driver's seat, at least forward facing. I know that there's more of an equal partnership behind the scenes and stuff like that, right? But now that's very different. And I see folks, particularly in the young professional kind of world, standing on equal footing with voice and distribution of people out there.
You see that with gender as well.
Yeah.
So, we know that so many of our members own family-owned businesses. The female hoteliers all owners. They've been working incredibly hard at the properties, but for a long time they weren't front-facing to the industry itself.
That's what I mean, yeah.
We've had a tremendous opportunity over probably the last 10 years to make sure that we are not only providing advocacy, education, and other things for our female hoteliers, but that we're creating leadership opportunities.
Right.
And as you know, we now have our first female chair who's about halfway through her term, which has really been game-changing for us. It's opportunity. Well, it's an opportunity for other female hoteliers to say, I see a role model, or I see someone who has reached the highest level of our association, and I also want to be involved. I don't want to go as a plus one to an event. I'm a hotelier in my own right, and I want to be a part of the association, not just in membership, but we have many women who serve on our board. We currently have a female chair and a female interim CEO, which is a nice opportunity for our female hotel owners to see a chance for that participation as well.
Were both positions embraced by the men of AAHOA? Were there some challenges, or was it pretty easy?
No, I would say it's been very easy. You know, you look at who is the right candidate. AAHOA elections are very serious. Glenn, you spent a lot of time around them.
Oh, my goodness.
Jagriti ran a very contested election, and ultimately our membership decided that she was the right person to lead our association. And we have tremendous female directors who serve on our board who represent very well the industry. One of our 2 young professional directors is a female now. She likewise does a great job representing the industry, and everybody supports one another. Absolutely. AAHOA is a team. At the end of the day, it's a team made up of our board, our ambassadors, our past chairman, our offices in Atlanta and DC. And it takes that full team to make us function every day.
What do you worry about? What's the big thing that 6 months from now or a year from now that you're worried about, that you're really focused on?
You know, there's a couple of things there. We want to be all things to all people.
Right.
I worry that that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. I don't just worry about it.
If you try to be everything to everyone, you wind up being nothing to everyone.
Absolutely.
Right?
We look at regulations. I mean, at the federal level, the state and local level, we know there are 3,000 counties in the U.S. There's 30,000 cities and towns. That's a lot of opportunity for bad laws.
Yeah.
So we look at how that really impacts hotel owners. Most elected officials have no idea what it takes to run a small business.
So what's the process? Bring me through the process of all that liability, all those policies, or like how do you find where something is percolating? Like what's the process of that?
Well, the percolating side is really coming from our membership. Someone in a local area will reach out and say, word on the street is that there's a new occupancy tax, or I've just heard this, or sometimes it's after the fact. They have just passed this terrible law in the middle of the night. For us on the front end, it's about relationship building. It's making sure that we are equipping our hotel owner members with how to speak to their elected officials. Building those relationships before bad laws happens is literally the most important part of anybody's business plan, because if you build those relationships when you don't need anything, when something crosses their desk, they're like, I wonder how this impacts the hotel owners, and then they're going to proactively reach out. So that messaging of making sure if you don't have advocacy as part of your business plan as a hotel owner, you're missing maybe the most important aspect that you need to have every day.
Being 2020 being a presidential election, do some of the nominees come after AAHOA for a,
blessing?
What's that?
A blessing?
A blessing?
Of course. I mean, at any point that you have an association that has
cool.
A large constituency, but ultimately AAHOA supports candidates that are pro-business, regardless of which side of the aisle they may sit on. We want people who are familiar with what it takes to run a small business, what those issues are, and at the end of the day, support small business initiatives.
One of the things that I find frustrating still in general, and I think it's a little less on Capitol Hill, is there's still confusion out there amongst a lot of people. When they stay at XYZ branded hotel, they think that company owns all of those hotels, and they don't understand the concept of franchising. But franchises are absolutely everywhere, and I don't understand that disconnect with people not realizing that these are just small businesses partnering with large corporations in order to follow their particular dreams. And I'd love to see a little bit more clarity around that issue, because small and mid-sized businesses make up 99% of all the businesses in the country.
But I think that is the fantasy, right? Because you don't want to know that there's a small business behind that as a consumer. You want to know that that Mr. Hilton is sitting at the helm or Mr. Mara sitting at the helm.
Right.
So I think that's the kind of illusion that it's been based on. Now, through groups like AAHOA, I think that gets the word out, but I think that's kind of how, I think that's just how it's built.
I'm kind of the opposite. I really like supporting small businesses and knowing that.
I agree 100%.
Making direct help on a family is so important.
But I think you're talking about two different things too. You're talking about the customer, the guests, which of course does not recognize that most of them are small business owners.
But it's really about Capitol Hill.
Yeah, even on Capitol Hill. I mean, the franchise model is absolutely what paves the way for the American dream. The opportunity for people to invest in small businesses, to run their own companies is second to none. I mean, it's just, but you are right. There is just so much confusion about what that means that we have so many people in office who've never signed the back, the front of a paycheck, only the back of a paycheck. So not just from understanding small business, but really understanding that franchise model. I mean, I think, Glenn, you may have been on when we do a great back of the house tour where we take elected officials to a hotel. And they will spend the entire day there making a bed, ringing in guests, walking the maintenance walk.
Oh, that's fantastic.
To really understand when you are a hotel owner, what are the challenges day in and day out. And through that process, we talk a lot about the franchise model and what it means for our membership, what it means for small business owners, and really what it means for the American dream.
That's interesting because you would think in this country that most of our senators and congressmen are business people.
Right.
Most of them are lawyers.
Right.
Why is that?
I feel like you're looking at me since I am one. No, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think nowadays you have career politicians. It's a very different driven market. So I think once upon a time, your elected officials were made up of your local business folks. And then as they were elected or as they served the local community, maybe city council, and then they looked to be maybe at the state level and then maybe at the federal level. Now you're really almost breeding career politicians.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But do you have any sort of program in place when someone is newly elected to Congress in order to start to educate them on this process? Because in the last election cycle, there were a lot of people that came out of that grassroots efforts of the community that had never been politically involved before and were more of the typical citizen than in past elections. So how does that affect how you try to connect with those folks in order to educate them on the importance of small business in the hospitality industry?
Well, that's a huge part of what we do. We've got a full team in D.C. who leads those efforts, and that comes back to the relationship building. There were over 100 new folks elected last year. And you need to start day one with those meetings. So we schedule those meetings. We go in, we visit them. We're not just educating them about AAHOA, which is obviously very important to us, but we are educating them on the hotel industry as a whole, hotel ownership specifically, and then drilling down even more than that to AAHOA. But that starts day one.
Right, which makes sense because you need to just to set the stage of understanding and then drill down. If you walked in and this is AAHOA, if they don't have that other basic understanding, then they're just not going to get what you guys are accomplishing either.
Well, it's the repeated contact, too, that I talked about. You can't just go in once and say, let me introduce you to the hotel industry. You're making those meetings all the time. You know, we do our fly-in. You were there in September for our Legislative Action Summit that we do with AAHOA, but we want to make sure that we have that repeated contact, and it's not just with the Friends of AAHOA, and we have many in Capitol Hill now, but it's making sure that all the new folks know as well.
Right, it's kind of the same thing, I think, any of us working the cocktail party circuit. It's not good enough just to say hello that one time. You've got to keep having meaningful bump-ins, so over time you can build that relationship. Nothing comes overnight, so it takes a while, I think, to get that mind share from that representative, because it's not just the hospitality industry that's going, it's everybody else, and they've got a whole lot of input. So to be there and out there and doing it over and over and over again is pretty amazing. You've got such a dedicated team.
Are there any members, AAHOA members in Congress or Senate?
There are. We have a couple of AAHOA members that currently serve in Congress.
Dr. Ami Bera?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get an interview with him for a while. He's always very busy.
We might know people, but we might know some people. No, I was going to say, actually, one of the exciting things when you talk about the growth of AAHOA is several years ago when we went to Capitol Hill, we spent almost all of our time in the meetings talking about who we are as an association. Now we can skip over that part and we just start going right into the issues. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
So you have to start that process early so that when you are going in, you're not spending all of the time talking about AAHOA and you're really focused on what those major issues are.
It just occurred to me, Rachel, we talk an awful lot about local level and national level. We haven't talked about state level. Yeah. What's your approach with that?
It's very similar to the local level. That, again, is building relationships. You know, we've got the exceptional regional directors who serve across the country. There are state lobby days, just like we storm
cool.
Capitol Hill.
Right.
We go to the state lobby days as well. We have tremendous partnerships with the state lodging associations. So we have feet on the ground there, making sure that we are involved and we are helping with messaging, helping with lobbying at the state level.
So like a little military operation, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you've got that whole side of the business and the event side of the business. You have over 200.
And then they got to deal with you.
Oh, God, that's a whole. They have a whole team dealing with that.
It's amazing. It really is. I didn't know. I mean, I knew AAHOA since I've been born into this industry, but like I didn't realize how hard it is. The word I was probably looking for is like complicated or intense,
right.
But like literally the word just hard. It's like it's hard. It's like I don't know how you do it every day. What's your biggest challenge? Like, what's like you coming in, being in the position for the first time? Like, what was your biggest challenge?
Keeping all the balls in the air for sure. I mean, we just do so much, and we want to make sure we're doing it at the absolute highest level. There are only so many hours in the day. Our team is only so big. We wish we had billions of volunteers, and our staff was 10 times the size.
How big is your
is.
staff?
We have 40 employees between Atlanta and DC, but we have enough work for probably 140 at this point. So as far as the things that keep me up at night, it's absolutely manpower and continuing to serve our members at the highest level.
And emailing, because she emails very late.
I do.
Yeah, but you know what? For a person in her position, she always gets back to you.
Oh, always. Always, which is
I'm just going to sit here and let you guys compliment me for a few
you're just really awesome at what you've done. And to watch what you've accomplished since you first came in the front door of AAHOA has been really, really wonderful. I think you bring so much personality and fun, but a lot of business sense to the to it.
What I like about you is you're fun and you're kind of easy to deal with, but you're no BS.
No. You're very, very.
Is that a compliment?
Yes.
I will tell you one of the things
so
that
you're saying is I need a better filter,
right.
maybe.
So I'm going to tell you.
Not at all.
I'm going to tell you what people tell me all the time. You're so direct.
Yeah.
Is that it?
And I don't
Well,
know.
as a person that is no BS
Likewise.
myself,
Right.
like I relate to that. I look for those people.
Yeah, well, we got that Brooklyn Queens thing going on, but to see somebody from Atlanta have that New York directing is very very impressive.
Well, she was a trial lawyer,
Right.
so I want to get back to that for a second. Tell me the first moment you won your first case that everybody thought was unwinnable.
Ooh, good question.
Oh my goodness.
She looks around.
She's looking around for help.
Shut that speaker off.
They all, everyone around here just flew away.
I'm going to say I had some tremendous opportunities during my trial lawyer career. So I've worked on some really exceptional cases. I will tell you that I spent the first 3 years of my career working for a boutique criminal defense practice, handling some really exceptional cases.
On the defense side?
On the defense side.
Right.
So we'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at
there
that.
was a super lawyerly answer. You've been
This
there
is
are
easy
some
compared to
trials
that.
you may have heard of here and there. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
This is. I hate not knowing now.
No, but the stress of that with people's lives in your hand, that's crazy.
it actually is a lot of pressure, especially as a young lawyer right out of law school. It's a tremendous. I had great opportunity. I got in with an exceptional firm in Northern Virginia that was really at the elite level for that type of representation, and so I was able to learn. But you learn trial by fire, absolutely,
No doubt,
and the pressure is tremendous.
Yeah, well, you're a killer, so that they put you in a firm like that because you're really good. But like you said, there was tremendous opportunity. But the reason there was tremendous opportunity to be in a law firm like that is because you got amazing grades, you did really well, and you were exceptional. Because you don't go to exceptional law firms unless you're exceptional.
I will actually tell you an interesting learning thing.
Oh,
I
yeah?
was not an exceptional student. The partner who hired me at the firm in Northern Virginia was not driven by pedigree at all. He was looking for an it factor, which has always been a huge compliment to me.
Yeah, totally.
He said he was a very average law school student at an average law school, but he wanted somebody who he felt had what it was going to take for that role.
Wow.
So I don't. I tell my girls all the time I was a very exceptionally average student, and I have accomplished many exciting things. I will say that, except for the current job I have, that being a criminal defense lawyer was the greatest job I have ever had. I loved it a tremendous amount.
It must feel so incredible to put all of that hard work in and then get the result that you were hoping for at the end of a trial.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the American dream a few minutes ago from the business sense, but, innocent until proven guilty is probably one of our most fundamental rights, if not the most fundamental. And when you think about the criminal justice system, there's certainly a lot of challenges with it in the United States. I would argue that it's the best anywhere in the world, even with its challenges. But there's a lot of education and learning opportunity there. People think where there's smoke, there's fire. If you are charged with something, you are inherently guilty.
Right.
And you're overcoming that from the get-go. As opposed to innocent until proven guilty, our system really works in other ways.
So it's really been ingrained to you to listen and to figure out facts, and that probably is really helpful being in the position you're in now. But as a parent, right? Are your children innocent to proven guilty?
I have raised 2 angels, so I am yet to be challenged by them. No, I mean, I think that it is, parenting is a completely different beast, as you know, and I will say that I take tremendous pride in this day and age to raise 2 strong, independent girls with so many outside influences. The world is completely different than it was. I grew up in rural New Hampshire and metropolitan Atlanta with 3,000 TV channels and social media and everything else. Is just a completely different animal than I grew up with.
Yeah.
And so
totally, as a parent, I sometimes feel adrift because the world is so different now than it was when we were running around. Just simple things like I'd go out and my parents wouldn't care where I was as long as I came home before dinner or dark, right? Yeah. Now it's like don't even want your kids to walk to school.
Now I have Live 360 on my phone.
Yeah. Well, now you have a cell phone. We didn't have that either, of course.
You want to know my children? I can tell you right now.
Yeah. I like to give my girls a hard time when I'm trying to date myself. I absolutely remember my first computer. I absolutely remember my first bag phone of my cell phone and all of these other things. The world is completely different.
Well, just
from
look
every
at
aspect.
just look at the hotel business. All right, so going back in 1990, I'd say I became a general manager or a supervisor, where I had some authority, maybe in 92, 93, and I remember the conversation. No one is going to give you their credit card online to book a reservation. You're crazy. My friend David Malilli, who started a company called Open Hospitality, came to me and said, I'm opening up a company that helps people build websites for their hotel. And I was like, I'm good. I got a GM job. I'm making money. God bless you. And he ate peanut butter and jelly for a long time. And then he hit it and he made, did really well. But I remember having conversations with him that people would not it's like, I can't give you my credit card to go online. It's like, no, that's the future. Right. Remember that?
My roommate, my sophomore year in college, booked her flight from California back to Connecticut on Prodigy. And
wow.
My mother was a travel agent at the time, and I said, no one will ever book travel on this computer thing, ever. I thought it was the craziest notion that someone would type where they wanted to go, and the computer would answer you.
And, even to a bigger step than that, I never thought women would buy shoes online. I thought that was the craziest thing.
I don't know how they do that now. So,
but like Zappos, to me, was like the craziest thing in the world. Like, why would you ever... And Amazon now, like, I don't go to retail stores anymore. I'm sorry, but I don't. And it's just amazing what's happening. Right. And we're not talking 100 years.
No, absolutely.
We're talking like yesterday.
But that correlates to the hospitality industry, too, because it moves so quickly. That's what we were talking about. When you think about the internet, when you think about cell phones, technology, social media, every single one of those has impacted our industry, not just our personal lives. Not just how we book our own personal travel, but on the hospitality industry side as well.
It's transformed the industry completely. But just let all of you young professionals that might be listening to this show know Prodigy was kind of like AOL. It started out as something It started out as something called CompuServe, turned to Prodigy, and was offered through Sears.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know everything.
Yeah, and it was, I think it was back in the days of 2400 baud dial-up modems. And if your friend, your roommate was booking that flight, and God forbid somebody called in the middle of it, you would have to start all over.
Yeah, that is true.
Remember when AOL was so big it bought Time Warner?
Yes.
The biggest catastrophe in the world?
Yeah, I know a lot of people that got really hurt in that. That's why I've always been happy and broke. I don't have to worry about the pressure of the stock market out there. Rachel, I'm feeling like this conversation is starting to come to an end. Is there anything else that you want to share with us before we ask you one big question?
There absolutely is, Glenn. I told you that you will always have our breaking news first. And so as of about 30 minutes ago, AAHOA has launched registration for our 2020 Convention and Trade Show in Orlando, April 13th to 16th. We're expecting 8,000 of our closest friends again to join us as we celebrate. Absolutely. As we celebrate the industry and AAHOA. So everyone now, AAHOA.com/convention, and you can register now.
All right, that's AAHOA.com/convention. Register now.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
I think we should go. I'm sure you're going.
Be there.
Am I getting an invitation?
You're gonna have to talk to.
Am I getting an invitation?
Go to AAHOA.com/convention.
That's your invitation, man. Right
well,
there.
Listen, we do podcasting. Actually, I'm actually going to be in the Bahamas with my daughter, who's going on a senior trip. And what's amazing about that,
its own set of challenges.
It's so funny. One of my daughters last year said, a couple of years ago when she was a senior, said, "Dad, I'm going to the Bahamas on my senior trip." I said, "I'm coming with you. There's no way you're going to Bahamas by yourself." So she didn't go. My other daughter said the same thing. I said, "All right, as long as I go with you." You know what she did? She called my bluff. She goes, "Okay, book your room." So now I'm going to be at one hotel across the street, and she's going to be at the other hotel. I'm going to be sitting in my hotel room for a week on a vacation I don't want to take. With a vacation I don't want to take.
That's hysterical.
Nice.
All right, so I'm curious, before I ask you our final question, what's your best travel tip for people? You're running all over the country all the time. How do you handle the in and outs of the airport, city to city, and all of the time zone shifts and all that stuff?
I have no idea. I don't consider myself a consumer. I'm not picky for hotels. Hotels to me are all about location and price, especially when I'm traveling for business. We're a nonprofit association. From a traveling tip standpoint, I am a worker at all times while I'm traveling. So to me, hotel Wi-Fi, airplane Wi-Fi, making sure that I have the ability to stay connected is probably most important. I don't know that I have a tip standpoint. I will tell you that I try never to check a bag. I have the worst luck with checked luggage. So if it can't fit overhead, it's not coming with me, and it doesn't matter how long I'm going away for. So
really, I'm the opposite.
Yeah, me too. I always check a bag.
Yeah.
When I travel for the show, I'm there 4 days, and you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you, but I take 2 suitcases, and they're both about 65 pounds each.
Would it hurt your feelings if I said that doesn't surprise me?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, first you don't invite me to AAHOA, and second you insult me.
She's what are you talking about? AAHOA.com/convention. That invite was pretty clear. All right, so Rachel, we'd like to end all of our checking in with Anthony and Glenn shows with one question. Tell us something about you that we don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm an open book. What about me that you don't know?
What sport you do in college or high school?
I was a downhill ski racer and a field hockey player in high school, and in college I played college field hockey.
Wow,
makes perfect sense. And did you ever see field hockey, bro? That's like rugby.
Yeah,
that's a tough sport.
It's not delicate.
Wow. So tell me about downhill ski racing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I grew up in New Hampshire at the bottom of a ski mountain. I spent every minute that I wasn't in school skiing. I loved it so much.
You still ski?
I do over Christmas break. My husband and I take our girls every year to a different ski area around the country. We
Where
go
you going
over
this
New
year?
Year's. I don't know. I'm getting texts every day from the girls and my husband, you need to sign off on this, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But we've had a great opportunity. I'm on a mission to hit all 50 states, and so we have used that opportunity to go to to go to Montana, to go to Wyoming, to go to Colorado, to Idaho, to some of the greatest ski areas. So I'm generally motivated in that way. North Dakota, in case you were wondering, is the only state I have left. They are not big skiers, so we will not be headed there. But it's a nice opportunity for us to get out as a family.
Cool. So tell us something we don't know about you, Anthony.
I love skiing. As you probably guess by my personality, I love downhill skiing really, really fast. This whole like in and out thing, I don't understand. I just understand tuck and go.
Best burgers. What are you talking about?
Snowboard, do you?
No.
Yeah, we're too old for that.
Yeah, I'm not only too old. I don't have patience for all that work.
Yeah.
I just put the skis on, tuck and go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so the first time I learned how to ski, my brother brought me to the Pines with the Knights of Columbus, went up there and brought me to, I'd say, like a blue square mountain and said, okay, this is how you stop, literally threw me down. So I was like, oh my God, this is great. I went all the way down. I didn't fall. I stopped at the end. I went up the second time, and from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill was just one big snowball. And how I didn't kill myself. Like right now, if I felt like that, I would break every bone in my body.
I agree.
Right.
Remember when you used to fall when you were a kid? You bounce up like nothing happened. You fall now and it's like, oh.
And sometimes I just find it is a good chance to just sit for a while and relax.
And just take a nap. So, Glenn, tell us something we don't know.
It's going to become as a shock to you, but I'm
don't ski.
I'm not known for my athleticism. No, I have skied. And
wait, as he's saying this, like he looks up at the table, he squares up, he pushes his hips closer. I have skied. Like he's so proud
for 2 or 3 seconds at a time before crashing down, and I was never able to even stand up from when I fell. I would always have to take off one ski and stand up and then put it back on. The whole thing is too much. I'm much better suited for sitting at the
hot chocolate. Hot chocolate.
Yeah. So no sports for me.
And that would hurt your feelings if we both say that doesn't surprise us.
No, it does not. I was not born into an athletic family or an athletic body.
So, Glenn, where can we find you? Oh, actually,
where can we find her?
Where can we find you? On the internet. Where can we find AAHOA?
AAHOA.com.
/convention.
Right.
No, yeah, of course. AAHOA.com. You'll see everything you need to know about what we have going on at AAHOA. And I just want to take a minute to thank both of you. You've always both been tremendous supporters of the association, our membership. We're incredibly grateful. It is a relationship industry. It's a relationship association, and you both have been great partners to us. So thank you for all of that.
Well, thank you. And like I said last night at the reception, I thanked everybody in the room. It's like if they didn't watch television and watch Hotel Impossible, I wouldn't have a career. They've been my biggest supporters. I walk through an airport and there's a AAHOA member, they literally tackle me. They're like so excited, and it's just because they appreciate that I appreciate them, and it's so it's reciprocal.
Usually, when I see AAHOA members in the airport, they run the opposite direction, not as warm. But thank you for everything too, Rachel, because I find working with yourself and the entire team over at AAHOA to be exceptionally easy. You're also
competent.
You're also friendly. You get stuff done. And you are serious, but don't take things too seriously, which I absolutely love.
But competency is a lost art. Like everybody I deal with at AAHOA is just they're competent. Like, there's no other word. Right. And competent entails everything you just said.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
So, Anthony, how can we find you, my friend?
Anywhere you want to be on the internet at Anthony Hotels. How about you, my brother?
And I, of course, am at Traveling Glenn. But more importantly than that, like our Facebook page at Checking In at No Vacancy. Follow us on LinkedIn. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, text the word hotel to 66866 and download all of our shows on Checking In, No Vacancy, Hotel Design Podcast, Business Hotels Podcast, and the Hotel Tech Podcast, wherever you like to download your shows. So for Rachel, Anthony, and myself, thanks for checking in.
It's Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's Checking In